this is my two favorite librarians. I'm Denise Corey.
And I'm Chantel Taylor, and today we're talking about fiber arts.
You don't seem nearly as excited as I do.
I'm excited.
I love the Fiber Arts Festival. It makes me so happy.
I feel like being involved has squashed my enthusiasm.
I should preface this by saying that I'm actually the chair of the Fiber Arts Festival, so...
And also, I just had a big lunch, and I feel like that's really also dampening my spirits right now.
Oh, I see. So we're going to talk about fiber arts books. They're my favorites.
So, of course, the library collects all kinds of craft books. So, like, beyond fiber, we've got all kinds of, like...
Jewelry making.
Paper making.
Macrame.
Yes,
Macrame is back.
Technically a fiber art.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes. But I just wanted to talk about macrame.
If you make plant holders, I have a lineup of people who are looking for macrame.
Yes.
Plant holders.
We have macrame books, so you could make macrame plant holders and sell them. People are looking for them.
Yeah, legit looking for them. So you and I are mostly knitters.
Yeah.
We do dabble in other like fibery crafts. I do some like cross stitch and embroidery.
I rug hook and do cross stitch.
I have been taught to rug hook. I'm sorry, Deanne, but I don't like it.
I love it. I find it very meditative.
I do not. I find it really slow and really hard to, get my momentum going. I'm not loving it.
So, you know who my favorite crafty writer is?
Who?
The Yarn Harlot.
Ah, I do have her on my list, yes.
Her real name is Stephanie Pearl McPhee. Pearl like the jewel, or...
Yeah.
It's not a jewel, is it? Yeah, anyway. Not pearl like purling when you knit.
Yes, it's not like a novelty name.
She is hilarious.
She is very funny. I do enjoy. She started off as a blogger, and she teaches classes, but she's written like half a dozen books at least.
I think it's like 8 now. And they're super funny. They're laugh out loud funny.
Because especially for knitters, we all have yarn everywhere. Like she talks about like at certain times of the year there's yarn in the piano, and there's where she like down sleeves of coats.
There's yarn in the piano because the kids don't play the piano anymore anyway. Who's gonna notice?
It's just yarn storage room. We've all been there.
Yeah.
But also too, like she is an unbelievably fast, prolific knitter.
Oh yeah, she knits
like
super fast.
Walks and knits. She walks to the bus every day in like Ontario. I think is she in Toronto?
She's in Toronto. Yep.
And she like walks and knits at the same time. I would be dead.
I recommend reading her books, even if you're not a knitter.
Yeah.
Her books are really funny because she also writes about her family.
Yes.
And she lives in
how her knitting affects her family.
She lives in an old house in Toronto, and there was this whole thing about her washing machine dying and how they had to take the door apart to get it out of the basement. And it's like anybody who lives in an old house can understand how weird things like that happen.
Yes.
And, of course, you mentioned Deanne. We own all of Deanne's books.
Yes.
And a DVD.
Yes. Do we own it?
We own a How to Hook Rugs DVD from Deanne.
I did not know that.
Yeah, you can borrow it.
Is it in Amherst?
I didn't check which.
Oh, I did not know that. I didn't know she'd done a DVD. Interesting.
And if you're a hooker...
Yes.
Always funny to me. I'm like a 12-year-old. We get Rug Hooking Magazine, too.
Oh, yes, we do.
Yeah.
We do.
And Knitting Magazine, and Crochet Magazine, and a Sewing Magazine, and one I think that's just called Crafts.
Yes, which again is like all of the...
Because, magazines are not inexpensive.
Yeah.
I love a magazine, but I don't want to spend like those rug hooking magazines. I don't know, what are they, like $7 each?
If you're lucky. I know some of those like cooking magazines I buy like for Halloween and Christmas, some of those are $12 or $15.
Yeah. So borrow them from us. That's what you should do. Also, we recently added 2 books by Meryl Cook.
Yes. Yeah, she was in Spring Hill last month, or this month, I guess. It's still September.
It's still September. She talks about rug hooking as like a creative healing art.
Yes.
I think it's great.
She's going to be at the Amherst Library during Fiber Arts Week. She's going to be doing a book signing.
Yes, and we're going to talk about all the authors next week. So many authors.
So this year, I'm taking a class online. It's called Knit Stars. Mm-hmm. And one of the classes I'm going to be taking is with Andrea. I think it's Rangel, Rangel. Mm-hmm. And she is a like intarsia or color knitter, so she's knitting with multiple colors.
I want to learn how to do that.
We just got a new book in by her, and you know what? I didn't write it down.
Oh, you're not helpful at all.
No, Alternates. That's what it's called. Alternates by Andrea Rangel. I talked about it in the newspaper not long ago, and I'll post it on our Instagram. I put a hold on it today. It's beautiful. She's got some really interesting like motifs, like little skulls and little pineapples and like all kinds of interesting things that you can do.
I want to learn how to do that.
A yoke of a sweater, which is really popular in knitting right now, having very beautiful multicolor yokes on your sweaters and sleeves.
I don't like making sweaters. It's too much pressure.
It is, but it is all the rage right now. Sweater knitting is everything.
I like to make a sock.
I like a sock too.
You like a mitten.
I do.
You make beautiful mittens.
Making mittens. And I actually do have two of my favorite knitting books down here in my, don't look at my list.
I'm looking at her list of books like...
I have two knitting books that I love, and they're fairly new. The Mitten Handbook by Mary Scott Huff and Knit Mittens, Your Handy Guide to Knitting Mittens.
Handy.
Yeah. By Kate Atherley. And is she affiliated with Knitty, or am I making that up? I know her name. I
think she's part of Knitty. So Knitty is an online pattern publishing.
Yeah, you can submit your patterns, and they rate
them based on their spiciness. So if a pattern is quite difficult, it's piquant.
I love Knitty, but she writes a lovely pattern, and it's got all kinds of like different thumbs. So you could make like a thrummed mitten with an afterthought thumb instead of like an increased gusset.
So those of you who are not knitters, we just went off into a different language. Knitting is its own language. Tell me your titles. I need to know this.
Okay, so one of the things we love at the library is cozy mysteries, and people love cozy mysteries.
Yes,
love them. We
they're
can't keep
so
them on
popular.
the shelves.
Yeah,
and there's like baking ones and veterinarian ones, but there's lots of craft ones. And so I was gonna randomly drop titles in, but I'm not gonna do that. So if you're not an actual crafter and you don't want to read books about patterns, you can read books about people solving mysteries who do crafts. And so some of my favorite, Debbie McComber writes them.
Yes.
Kate Jacobs did the Friday Night Knitting Club. That was a big one. I've never read either of those.
But those are not
they're
fun.
not. They're not cute. So some of the, I'm sure they're cute, but they just don't have the great titles.
Great titles. I want the great titles.
So one of my favorites I was looking through today is Hooking for Trouble. Yeah. So Far So Good, SEW, Far So Good, Death Among the Doilies, Only Skein Deep.
Oh.
Yeah. Dyed in the Wool, I can't spell dyed, D-I-E-D.
Oh.
No, wait.
That's dyed like dyeing, like not dyeing fabric, like...
I think I just spelled it wrong. I think it D-Y-E-D.
You're supposed to be able to spell. You're like ruining the librarian. You're ruining our
persona,
our street cred.
Let It Sew.
Let It Sew.
Pinned for Murder.
Oh.
Yeah, nice. We just love those titles.
The titles are great. You can borrow all of those. Those are all real books that we own at our libraries in the county. You can find them by going onto our website, www.cumberlandpubliclibraries.ca.
Very nice.
I know you love it when I do that. What are you reading right now?
I am reading How to Manage Your Home Without Losing Your Mind, Dealing with Your House's Dirty Little Secrets by Dana K. White.
Ooh, it sounds like you're in a cleaning mode.
Well, no. This episode will air the same week as my article in the newspaper, which I rant about. My article in the newspaper is called Let the Deslobification Begin. And I write about how I don't really like to clean at all. And is this poor woman going to help me clean? She has a blog called Slob Comes Clean. Her name is Dana K. White.
It's like the Japanese art.
No, it's not like that, because it's not telling me crazy things like
Thank your shampoo every
and
day.
empty your purse, like ridiculous things like that. I mean, she's saying very sensible things like people whose houses are clean their houses every day. And I said this in my newspaper article. I don't want to admit that my mother is right and that, like, I have to
No
do
one
something
wants to
every
admit
day.
that their mother is right. How about, okay, I'm reading something totally different. Well, I just finished Buffering, Unshared Tales of a Life Fully Loaded by Hannah Hart.
Okay, yes, she's a YouTuber.
She's a YouTuber. She's best known for her series My Drunk Kitchen,
Yes.
in which she drinks alcohol and cooks things. I love the millennials and their whole like making money off YouTube.
Love.
They're
YouTube.
so bright for doing this. Anyway, this book was nothing like I expected. This is like a little memoir by her.
Yes.
And she is super. I don't watch her show all the time. I catch little bits and pieces from time to time. She's super chipper and upbeat and seems like really outgoing. She grew up. Her mother has severe mental illness. Her father left them when she was young and moved away, got remarried. He's super, super Christian. He did not really help the family out, and she just talks about growing up and like her little sister was taken away from the family, and oh my
Wow.
god, it was completely not what I expected.
Wow, interesting.
And yet she's this super chipper, happy, lovely, successful woman.
She has persevered.
Yeah, it was an interesting book.
What's happening at the library?
It's Fiber Arts Week. No, it's not. Next
Arts
week is
Week.
Fiber Arts Week.
Also, though, next week we're closed on Monday.
Oh,
The
'cause of
library
the
will be closed
Thanksgiving.
on Monday for Thanksgiving. So
Yeah.
just so everybody knows.
See, we were talking about Fiber Arts, so I was thinking it was Fiber Arts Week. It's not
Yes.
Fiber Arts Week. I have nothing.
We're giving people a chance to come in and put some holds on stuff.
Yeah. Get your Fiber Arts books before
That's right.
the quilters descend. There will be many.
So follow the library on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can check out our website, which Denise has already mentioned. I won't make her mention it again.
She makes fun of me every time.
For all our social media details, because of course they're all different, and we do try to do some updates, some follow-up on the show, although I haven't been doing it lately, and I'm calling it a show. I'm using my quotey marks that you can't see. We do try to do some updates on Instagram and
I have a great
Facebook.
I have a great face for radio.
What are we talking about next week?
Authors, I'm so excited.
More specifically, author
Authors
visits.
Authors that are visiting.
Yeah.
See you next week.
Bye.